Shalom Yasharallah, this your brother Dawadah, coming back at you to say the truth again. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here, basically defense of the gospel, because, not really trying to convince the person who was, pushing off their agenda, but nevertheless, they were talking against some, what they call the BHI and everything like that, so on and so forth. So we know that they are set up or whatever, whatnot. But you have a lot of our people, all right, because they had, on this little video I was watching, they had some Israelites, all right, that knew that they were Israelites, that knew about the truth or whatever, whatnot, trying to defend this. And this is on multiple levels. This is why you should only listen, not trying to sound all whatever, whatnot, but hey, the truth, it should be evident by now, man. This is not no prod or anything like that. It should be evident that the truth is coming out of Great Millstone, man. All right, so this is why we tell you, not to be listening to these different camps or whatever, whatnot, because it causes and breeds confusion. All right, so, and also, hey, not everybody is up to be a teacher. All right, so for those Israelites that was over there trying to defend the gospel against these damn Edomites, when the concept came up about the Israelites or whatever, whatnot, you should be careful of that before you lead the sheep astray. All right, because in a sense, if you didn't realize what the hell this dude was doing, you could seem like you were losing off in this here battle, man. All right, so in this situation, this guy was going into basically that the Edomites were done away with and that the so-called white man can't be the Edomites based off of what we're going to read here in Obadiah. All right, now his argument is, he had posed like 3 different questions, but basically his foundations of his situation was, show me where the Edomites are presented in the New Testament, all right, as a so-called nation or whatever, whatnot. He happened to say that Edom, Esau, Idumea is not mentioned in the New Testament, all right, which if this guy that was supposedly defending the gospel knew the scriptures, all right, not just trying to pick up the Bible to look cool or whatever, whatnot. This is why we don't even debate with these people. But nevertheless, for our own people that are watching these folks and being confused and led astray, man, all right, he could have simply just went to Hebrews. Let me get it, because Hebrews in the New Testament, all right, chapter 12, verse 16. All right, it says, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau." Right, now, one of his arguments was, and some other passage in the book, right, he tried to play this off of this Jake, and he asked him who Esau was. Was it talking about the actual son of Isaac, Esau, or his descendants? And then now this Israelite couldn't understand, or he didn't know. He was just like, oh, Esau, the person. And then the guy came out like, well, Esau has been dead. This is talking about his descendants. All right, so using that same logic, I would pose the same question to him right here in the New Testament when we're reading about Esau. All right, are we talking about Esau himself, or are we talking about Edom, the nation, his descendants, right? So by his same argument, hey, look, man, they talk about Esau, Edom as a nation right here in the New Testament. All right, his name is right here in the New Testament. Let's read it. Hebrews 12 and 16, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright." Now that was the actual Edom or Esau, who his actual name was changed to Edom, the actual son of Isaac, who sold his birthright, right? Verse 17, "For you know how afterwards when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." All right, now, at what point in time, now there's another scripture that says, basically the hands shall seek to please the poor, right? Let me look that up. Okay, because it's still talking about him, all right? Job 20 and 10 is, well, shit, because this is all talking about Esau as well, too, all right? Let me just get to the point. It says, "His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods." Give me 1 second. I got some people beside me. Give me 1 second. But anyway, it says his children, all right, Esau, Edom's children, shall seek to please the poor. Who are the poor? All right, you go to Revelation chapter, what is that? Revelation 2 and 9, where it says that I know that poverty and tribulation, but thou art rich. All right, we're those the children that are impoverished right now. It says his children, Esau's descendants, shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. All right, because if you go into Isaiah 60, all right, they're going to wind up having to give up all the things. Well, wait. Let me just read further down. Verse 18, "That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. He shall not rejoice therein. All right. So when you go into these things, let me go down further. 23. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fear of his wrath upon him, and he shall rain it upon him while he is eaten. So Esau's kingdom hadn't come to its full fulfillment at this point in time. All right. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn, it cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, and tears are upon him. It says, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places, a fire not blown shall consume him, it shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. So again, to pose this question, because homeboy wants to keep going into Josephus or whatever whatnot about when the Edomites was fully destroyed. All right, now I could have brought out a different book. Can't think of the name of the book right now. Who is Esau, Edom, or the other Israel? I have the book at my house, but nevertheless, it goes into there. It says, whence cometh or who is Edom? All right, and they talk about the Romans being the Edomites. All right, and he also went into talking about how Herod and all them, they were actually Edomites, but nevertheless, he was like, oh, there's not a nation of them, they weren't ruling. Well, you have to understand, Herod was a Roman. The Romans was in rulership at that point in time. All right, so when it talks about him fleeing from this here iron weapon, what nation on the planet Earth has ever fled from the iron weapon except for Japan? You know, Japan is the only people that's ever got hit with some type of nuclear weapon. All right, and nevertheless, they weren't all taken out. All right, but nevertheless, hey, this is where his final destruction is coming from. All right, you can also read that in Revelation 18. All right, so now let's get back to Obadiah. Right, what verse is that? Wait. Right. So here's his objective, right? Or his main point. Obadiah 1 and 10. Well, let me start at 9. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right. So, this is where he's saying, oh, they was cut off forever, right? But then you have to really read and understand the whole scriptures, who are the antagonists and the protagonists of the scriptures, man. You basically got the whole scriptures revolving around Jacob and Esau, man. All right. So let me go up a little bit. I don't want to make this too long, but got quite a few precepts I could be bringing out. All right. So this is Obadiah 1 and 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sitting among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Again, when did the heathen ever as a whole rise up against the Edomites and take them out? All right, this is going to take place when you can read that in Revelation, I believe it's 17 and 17, about their allies coming up against them. Now we can read down here in verse 7 also about his allies coming up against him. All right, and then also you could read, we'll touch a little bit about it in Jeremiah 50:51. All right, about basically how, as compared to Ezekiel 38, about that conglomeration of nations that's going to be with Russia to basically take out these damn Edomites, man. All right. So it says, basically to take out these Americans, because you're still going to have Edomites around on the planet Earth after America's destroyed. All right. You're going to have the first fruits of these Edomites basically going to captivity. All right. They're going to be brought back, bred back through. All right. And they're going to serve out their 1,000 years. But let's continue on. It says, behold, I've made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. All right. We compare that with it in the book of Isaiah 14, where it says, is this the man that maketh the earth to tremble? All right, so when you go into these things, it's like, yo, you being greatly despised. Now all these other nations are looking at you like, yo, this nigga is the one that's got to go. Not that long ago, everybody was looking up to America. This was the golden city where everybody wanted to come over here, man. But like the scriptures say, they all drank of her basically her Babylon juice, all right, and now the nations are mad, all right? Here's a key verse right here, all right? It says, and then they say, basically what they call Hebrew hopscotch, because they don't understand precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, because these are the mysteries of the Most High. Or you have to study and read the scriptures about certain things. You can't just read. You're not going to have one chapter that's going to go into, who is this and who is that and so on and so forth. It's not line by line straight all the way down. All right. And I'm going to show you exactly what these things. They're going to be saying the exact same thing, but in different books. It says, the pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground. Now, they did say at one point in time in this video about how they was over there basically in Petra and so on and so forth. Well, if you was smart enough to know that, you should be able to look at the spirit of people. The scriptures say, the spirit of, how does it say? Basically, the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. All right. So if the prophets are going to keep coming back as the prophets, and 2/3, just like the ones that was out there talking about some crucify him, they're going to come back as 2/3. These Edomites keep coming back as Edomites. So you're going to keep coming back to whoever you are, right? So when you go back to Petra, all right, the spirit beareth witness with our spirit, we are the children of the Most High, because we don't really change how we do shit throughout time, man. All right, just like in the scriptures back in the day, we used to like music, getting down, and being family oriented, and having feast days and so on and so forth. Give me one second. All right, Salakia had somebody trying to talk to me. But nevertheless, as I was going into basically reading these here words, about precept upon precept, we're going to basically bring out 3 strong precepts that's pretty much saying all the same thing. It's all talking about the same people, right? And the key is that they're going to use different names of calling these people that, but they have the same characteristics. And going back into the spirit bearing witness with our spirit, if he was the guy was looking at Mount Petra, talking about, oh yeah, that was the Edomites over there living there. Like, okay, well, look at their construction of how they built all of that. Now look at how everything that's built out here that we see nowadays is the same thing, man. Like the White House and so on and so forth with these columns, with the same columns you could bring back from Rome and everything like that. Their buildings and everything is all built the same way that they rebuilt Greece, the same way that they stole a lot of these things from Egypt, man. All right, it's the same damn people, man. All right, so let's go back into this. Obadiah 1:3. The pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? All right. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. Now, what nation, all right, first of all, exalt themselves as the eagle? All right. Now, this is like a trick question, because more than one nation, more than just America, America's not the only nation that's ever exalted themselves as the eagle and used the eagle as a symbol, right? But nevertheless, it's a trick question. Damn near the only people that's ever used the eagle as their so-called bird. They're all Edomites, man. You can go back to like Hitler and them. I believe the Romans as well had them. Basically, these Americans over here as well have them as well too, man. All right, it's the same damn people. All right. And what other nations went out to the so-called, start going up into outer space? Who was the first people with that technology? Again, another trick question, because why are you like, well, Russia did. Russia made it out there first, and the Americans went. Well, what nations? Don't call them by their modern day names. Who are they according to the scriptures, man? All right, they're both Edomites. All right. So I'm gonna skip a lot of this here and just get to. Let me read the last verse. It says, well, I can read verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh have spoken it. Now I can also go to Ezekiel chapter 25, where when you read in Ezekiel 25, it's basically saying the same thing. Let me read 21. And Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So we can read, like I said, I can also go in other places in the scripture, Ezekiel 25, where the Lord said he will lay vengeance upon Edom by the hands of his people. All right. So we understand that Esau is going to get his judgment by the Israelites. So if they're saying that this has already happened, all right, well, you have multiple questions to ask. When did Israel, all right, when was Israel out of captivity, all right, to put Esau, to take Esau down like this and burn their ass up with fire? Where are the records to that, man? All right. And if you also believe that those Amalekites, those fake Jews over in Israel are the Israelites, well, according to y'all, these are the 1948ers, right? They came up over there and got into the land in 1948. You believe that that's the time when they was, how do I say, put back into their own land, all right? Well, who had them in captivity before that? And how the hell was they in captivity? The last people that would have them in captivity would be the Babylonians, a.k.a. the Edomites at this point in time. So did they burn up all the house of Esau and judge them in 1948? All right, that didn't happen, all right? You could also say, oh, well, the Edomites are basically who the scripture says Ishmael, the Arabs. But they didn't burn up all these damn Arabs over there. They were supposed to be dwelling in safety and peace. Nobody was supposed to learn war anymore. What, they still over there having war. As soon as they took over that land, they had an immediate war right after the fact, man. All right. But let me go back up to verse 3. It says, the pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Now, forgive me, I got to look for this. It's like two other scriptures. It's going to say the same thing. Jeremiah 49. Too far. Yep. 49 and 16. Now, all right, let me just read it like this. It says, so we can read a lot of this, but nevertheless, just for the point. Jeremiah 49 and 15. 14. All right. Oh, man. Let's go to 12. All right, so I'm going to just give you a quick point. And if you do your due diligence and you read this, because exactly the same thing we just read, we could have read all of Obadiah, all the book of Obadiah, right? Just one chapter. It's saying the exact same thing that it's saying here in Jeremiah 49, but we're going to find it in the third place, right? So, like I said, you want to really do your due diligence, read Jeremiah 49 and start at verse 7, and you can read on down, I think, verse 18. Verse 18, right? So, oh shit, let me just get this point. 17 and 18. All right. Also, Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith Yahweh, and no man shall abide there, neither shall the Son of Man dwell therein. We only really know of one place on the planet Earth that's been destroyed like that, all right, where nobody ever lived there again, all right? Now, you can go on YouTube and look up the remains of Sodom and Gomorrah, where you can see the pillars of ash and basically like a city and everything like that, where there's actually a person who actually went through a tour, like they were driving through the, basically what would have been the streets in between the buildings and everything like that, touching it. It's just nothing but ash. Nobody lives over there no more. There's no other place on the face of the earth that was once a city like that where nobody else dwells, For instance, you can go look at Mount Vesuvius, right? This is like over, this was like when the Romans was in power, right? Now, Mount Vesuvius, all right, now that place actually got covered in volcanic ash, and all those people wound up dying and being cased inside of that ash and dying. But guess what happened? They built right over top of that, and people live there to this same day, man. All right, so the only place that we know of like that is Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, this other place hadn't happened like that, and this, the whole earth is gonna reel and hiss, and be astonished, and the whole world's gonna witness this. All right, it's gonna be turned into the lake of fire, which is here in America, man. All right, so let me go back up to verse 15. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Like I said, this is all word for word, basically, a couple words have changed, but the same thing that's in the book of Obadiah. Verse 16, thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the heights of the hill, that thou may make thy nest as high as the eagle, and I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. So we're reading again, word for word, the same thing we just read in Obadiah. But, in Obadiah, they talk about Esau, Edom. Here again, they're using the word Esau, Edom, right? Also, Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and everyone that shall hiss at the plagues thereof. I just read that, all right? So, here we go again. Here's another clue. Verse 20, therefore here's the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom. Remember, it's saying Edom right here. And his purpose that he purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Remember that. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Right. So now let's go over. Jeremiah 51 and might be Jeremiah 50. Salah, give me a sec. It's Jeremiah 50. So let's go back. It's the last verse. Yeah, here we go. Jeremiah 50 and 39. Let me see if there's any more up above this. All right, Jeremiah 50 and 39. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert and the wild beasts of the island shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever. All right. Neither shall it be dwelt in from generation into generation. As the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof shall Yahweh, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. So now we just read the same thing over in Obadiah. We just read it in Jeremiah 49, and now we're also reading it here in Jeremiah 50, right? Now you would think it's saying the same thing, all right? And when you go to 41, behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. Now this is going also into Ezekiel 38, all right, Obadiah 1 and 7, about this conglomeration of nation. Well, that's really going into the allies, but when you go into Ezekiel 38, and also I think in this same chapter about Jeremiah 50 and 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, all right, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert men, and none shall return in vain. So when was there ever arrow shot from one side of the earth to the other side of the earth, man? When America dropped their bombs on Japan, they dropped the bombs on Japan from right over top of Japan. They flew to, I believe it was called the Enola Gay or something like that. They flew the damn plane over top and dropped them damn bombs, man. All right, this is going into what they call intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right, it says it's coming from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. All right, they're going to shoot these arrows from one side of the earth to the other side of the earth, right? Which is going to cause how do I say, the whole earth to reel to and fro. Now let's jump back down to verse 39. Oh, we just read that. Okay. Jumping down. We'll read 45 and 46. All right. Now, remember when we just read this, it was saying Edom, Edom, Esau, Edom, right? But here it's saying something different. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon. All right. Let's go over Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and his purpose that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make the habitation desolate with them. Going back, Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon. So we understand that Edom is going to have his kingdom in end times, and Babylon the Great. Babylon, Mystery Babylon, Babylon the Great, in these points in times hadn't been taken out. And if you don't understand these Babylonians, these Babylonian kingdoms, there's been three of them. The first one was basically called Babel, with Nimrod was ruling over there, and I believe what was it, Samaria or something like that, where they built the Tower of Babel. All right, now you know that place, basically the Lord confounded the language and spread everybody out. So that place wasn't really destroyed like that, right? Then it came into what you call basically like the Neo-Babylonian Empire, right? Or the Syrian Babylonian Empire, right? Where like Nebuchadnezzar and so on and so forth. Well, if you know the history of that place, they wasn't subdued like that, man. All right, I believe Belteshazzar was basically like number 2 in charge at that point in time, and his father was basically gone on a campaign or something like that at that point in time as well too. But nevertheless, as they were eating and drinking and partying with the Lord's vessels and everything like that, all right, basically what happened was there was the handwriting on the wall, all right, and when the handwriting on the wall, it said that their kingdom was going to be taken in that night. And guess what? They rolled right up in there and took the kingdom, right? So they didn't fight and take Babylon. They didn't burn Babylon or whatever, whatnot. You know, there was people still living over there in Babylon at that point in time, man. All right, it was pretty much like when the Romans was to take over, you know, when the Romans took over Israel, right? Now, when Yahushua was on the scene, the Romans was in charge. They was ruling. They had us in captivity at that point in time, but we were still living in the land at that point in time, man. All right, so the same thing happened like in the reign of the Medo-Persians when they took over the Babylonians. They didn't burn that place down with fire, man. They rolled in and just took the kingdom like that, man. All right, now the third Babylon, all right, which is Babylon the Great. This is the Babylon that's going to be destroyed and burnt with fire where no man was going to dwell there ever again. All right, now if you can understand precept upon precept, all right, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right, we just read in Jeremiah 49 and also in Obadiah where it kept saying the same thing, whose habitation is high, who has set the nest among the stars and so on and so forth, the purpose that he's purposed against them. All right, they kept saying Esau, Edom. Now here we're reading it saying Babylon, right? So we know now, according to the scriptures, all right, if you have the eyes to see, all right, and the understanding to be able to understand these things, that Esau, Edom will be ruling in Babylon at the end all be all, man. All right. Let me read this again. Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon, and the purpose that he have purposed against the land of the Chaldees. All right. So who would be in the land of Babylon and who would be in the land of the Chaldees in these last times, man? All right. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. All right. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations. So every nation should have this documented when the Edomites was taken out of power and was exterminated on the face of the earth, or at least taken out of power, man. Because the whole earth was going to see this. The whole earth was going to acknowledge these things when it happened, man. All right. But yet you can't really find no place in history where the Edomites was completely taken off the face of the earth. They want to go back and go into basically a situation in the Maccabees. But right after that point in time, you had Herod, the Tetrarch, all the Herods, the Herodian dynasty and everything like that, man. All right. The Caesars and everything like that. We know about the what they call the pagan Roman Empire, and then the Holy Roman Empire, or the Ottoman Empire, and the Byzantine Empire. All right. We know about the Renaissance period when they came back. All right. You have to understand history and all these different things, man. All right. So, the importance of this here lesson is what? Don't be mixing your, how they say in the bar, don't be mixing your drinks and your alcohol and stuff. If you're drinking beer, drink beer. If you're drinking wine, drink wine. If you're taking shots, take shots. Don't be mixing wine with shots and beer and all that. Your ass gonna be sick, man. Same thing with these different people telling you this and telling you that and so on and so forth, man. All right, because see, these people will tell you that in the same video they talking about Esau are the Japhites and so on and so forth. All right, well, look around the world. Who's basically dominating the earth? Who has the most dominant military on the face of the earth right now? You saying that the Arabs are the Edomites, so they should be ruling right now. All right, they should have the most dominant military on the face of the earth right now. Everybody should be trying to fight up against them right now, man. All right, and you saying that Esau, or the so-called white men, are the Japhites or whatever, whatnot, and they got the most dominant military. Where in the scriptures do you read about Japhet in any kind of future prophecies, man? Where do you read about Japhet in any of these scriptures? Don't tell me that your kingdom got built up so big and mighty and great that people want to mimic it and everything like that, but you're not written about in the scriptures? Come on, man. Talking about, America's like, in reality, the greatest, one of the greatest nation. Well, not really the greatest nation, because according to the scriptures, Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon was the greatest nation that has ever been on the face of the earth. All right, he was the head of gold, and it just gets more and more depleted as it goes down. But nevertheless, at this most grandest military and budget spending and so on and so forth, you don't think, and the hammer of the whole earth, you don't think that these things would be documented in the scriptures, man? All right, these things are written out in the scriptures and everything like that. But guess what? It's not going to say America or the Edomites or the so-called white man, and they live in America at these last times, man. All right, if you can't see these things, the Lord ain't dealing with you, man. All right, and this is a reason for, our people to take heed and understand when we defend the gospel. You don't hear us over here taking personal shots to these people and personal things like that. Hey, the importance is that our people aren't led astray, man. All right, we're in dire times in these last little final moments. And it's not a time for our people to be, it's not a time for our people to be getting mixed up and lost with these here doctrines and things like that, man. All right, because ultimately, we've had our time and everything like that where we've defended the gospel about who's Esau, Edom, and so on and so forth, and all these different things and everything like that, man. All right, and it's too late for our people to be waking up right now or losing faith right now or getting confused right now about who is Esau, Edom, man. All right, now the same people talk about this here medical situation or whatever, whatnot. Is it the Arabs that's implementing that around the world, or the Edomite nations that's doing these things, man? All right, this is the mark of the beast being implemented by who? Esau, Edom. Because why? He's going to want the whole world to worship him as if he was God, man. All right, look at these other scriptures that talk about him and then play this out. Do a checklist amongst these other nations. Is it really the Arabs doing this shit? Did the Arabs impose their language on you, impose their garments and their customs on you? Hell no, man. But America is, if you want to be a pilot anywhere in the world, you got to learn English. All right, when they go to those UN meetings where all the nations show up, they all dressed in Edomites attire, the suit and tie and everything else like that, man. All right, so it's the Edomites or the so-called white man that's the most dominant player on the face of the earth right now, man, because while the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, man. All right, two more real quick. We're going to close out. Genesis 27, verse 40, or 39 and 38. Or 38, 39. Or 39 and 40. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, this is Esau's blessing, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. So he was going to rule the earth in the end times. All right. He was going to rule the earth at some point in time, but it was going to be a temporary rulership. All right. Real quick, because I'm going to counter this. All right. 2nd Ezra 6:7. Right. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of times? Or what shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that follows? Now, the reason that this is worded this way is because what we're reading over in Genesis 27 about the blessing. Because you'll find out that Esau and Jacob both basically get the same blessing. It's just one of them is a temporary rulership and the other one is an everlasting rulership. All right. So, what shall be the parting asunder of times? And what shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, so we know that Esau is the end of the temporary world being ruled in wickedness, and Jacob is going to follow after him, and he's going to have an everlasting kingdom. All right, just like you read about when the Lord returns, he's going to have an everlasting kingdom, man. Israel is not ruling right now at any point in time. We're not in no kind of... Forget about you thinking that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites, all right? Pose one question. If those so-called Jewish people over there are the Lord's people, where's the Lord at, man? Why is there still war on the earth? Why are you still paying taxes and shit? Why are people still getting sick? Why is there a pandemic, man? The Lord should be reigning right now, and his kingdom, and an everlasting kingdom, all nations should be serving him right now, man. All right? Obviously, there's somebody else that's over there. All right? Let me read 9 again. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. I'm going to come back to that Genesis real quick, because there's plenty of scriptures that go into all of this. We're going to go to Ezekiel, what is it? Ezekiel 36, okay? Ezekiel 36, 1 through 5. Well, 2 through 5. Thus saith Yahweh power, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are in our possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh power, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up into the lips of talkers and of the infamy of the people. Let's go back a little bit. If these people are such history buffs, they would know that in what was that? Basically 70 AD is when we was put in exile and cast out of the land of Israel. And really, it was, I forgot what year it was, but not too far after that, basically the Syrians took over that land as well too. All right, well, the land of Israel, and they pretty much had some of their people living over there, right? They were Syrians, right? Now, these population of these Syrians had lived there basically from the time that we basically got expelled from out of there up until the time those 1948ers came into play over there, all right? Now, the population of those people was less than 1 million people. It was always like 600,000 people that dwelled over there. Very small population, all right? It wasn't really like a whole nation. It was just like a couple people that just live over there, right? So it was only 600,000 people. There's really no history coming from over in that area. All right. So when did the heathen take possession of the Lord's Holy Land? All right. The Balfour Declaration, when it was put into play in 1948. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh power, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you're taken up into the lips of talkers and in the infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh power, to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, to the desolate waters and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision, to the residue of the heathen that are round about. So now the heathen, you have to understand, the heathen are taking possession of our places, our high holy places, our land and everything, man. We're in exile. We're scattered into the four corners of the earth. Yes, somebody would be living over there. Yes, somebody would try to dress up and be like us. But these, when you read in the scriptures, multiple places in the scriptures, they tell you, we'll find another one, that these heathen are living over there. Verse 6, therefore, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, all right, because they're going to tell you who is in the land of Israel this very day. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel. We're not talking about the Israelites, but the land of Israel, all right, and say unto the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers, to the valleys, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the Gentiles. Oh, slack, I skipped a verse. Let me go back to verse 5. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and all Idumea. Idumea is a Greek way of saying Edom. All right. So read it again. Surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, these other nations, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession. So the land of Israel was appointed into the possessions of whose hands? the Edomites' hands. When did this take place? 1948. Look up the Balfour Declaration, all right, which was basically penned by them damn Rothschilds. Red Child. That's what the hell that shit means. Their last name was originally Bauer. They changed their name to this to fit this here these prophecies, basically, man. They know who the hell they are. It says, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with joy of heart, which with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Right? So the Edomites took this here land, all right, or took the land of Israel. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1, First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, which is the scriptures, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images, right? So the heathen would like to take basically the scriptures and all the images that we had and whitewash them. It's called iconoclasm or whitewashing or whatever, whatnot. You can read this, Job 9 and 24, okay? Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, all right? So we're going to read back about this. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who and where is he? Who is all the images of the saints, the Most High, and Yahweh Shah all looking resemblance of? All right, it will be these Edomites, not the Arabs. Apparently, if the Arabs, right, if these is Esau Edom and he took over all this shit, shouldn't the Lord Yahweh Shah be painted as a Muslim? They over there killing people right now over painting the Prophet Muhammad or whatever, whatnot, as a cartoon or whatever. They're not worried about Yahweh Shah's image over there, man. All right, don't make no damn sense. It's not playing out like that. Let me go back to Genesis 27. All right, we'll finish this out. Genesis 27:39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. All right, when did Esau rule the whole earth with the fatness thereof? Basically the whole earth. All right, the Roman Empire was pretty damn big. The Grecian Empire, I believe, was bigger than that shit. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, those was both Edomites ruling, right? But they wasn't ruling on the western side of the hemisphere at that point in time, all right? We can also read about 2nd Ezra chapter 13 about when they would to come at the very end all be all right? Now, at this point in time, Salaki, give me a second. Give me 1 second. All right, let me finish this here out. But, nevertheless, you know, Esau wasn't ruling at that point in time. Now, when you go back into 2nd Ezra 13 about at the time when they would to come at the end all be all, that's talking about, you know, when Columbus and them came. Now they've infiltrated this side of the globe and set up their rulership over the whole four corners of the whole earth. All right. Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break the yoke off his neck. Right. And by thy sword shalt thou live. Last precept we closing out. Revelation chapter 6. We can read, I think, 4 and 8. And there went out another horse that was red, indicative of Esau Edom, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. All right. So this was Esau Edom, where that great sword was given unto him to take peace from the earth. All right. And that he was going to live by that sword. This is why he has the world's greatest military, man. All right. You know, when the Germans the Germans were the most smartest people on the face of the earth at a certain point in time. All right. They had the most advanced military technology and everything like that. When they wound up falling, the Americans and the Russians split their stockpile, and we're still using their technology to this day. So who are the Russians? Who are the Americans? And who are the Germans? Trick question. They all Edomites. All right. And we read about them all being prophesied even into this very end time right now at this point in time. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying into the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you. I can push his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Stay strong. Shalom.